Welcome to the Everyday Bow Hunter. I'm your host, Mike Manley, retired Green Beret turned bow hunter, joined by my brother Dan Zeman. We're here to share tips, stories, and talk gear, all from our unique points of view. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned bow hunter, I think you're going to like it. So let's go. All right, Dan, here we are, episode 17.
Hell yeah, brother.
Let's rock and roll. So we're going to jump right into things. No messing around, I guess.
No listener questions?
No, I don't have any listener questions. It's unfortunate. I think it's the time of year. Things are a little slow on the listener questions.
Does that mean nobody's listening anymore?
Nobody's listening. Actually, getting a lot of great plays on Spotify and Apple iTunes. So it's spreading around there. It's not doing quite as well on YouTube, but it's definitely doing good on the channels where podcasts live, really. So,
Yeah.
So thanks, everyone. We appreciate the listens, and we hope to bring you a lot of great content, especially, as we get closer and closer to the season. We do a lot more scouting, a lot more prep stuff. We have a lot of great content coming, so stay tuned. But talk a little bit about what did since the last podcast. Now, I had bought a Matthews lift bow. Mm-hmm. Right, so I went down to Lancaster Archery on President's Day thinking, who else is going to be there?
Was it packed?
It was packed. Yeah. So I got on the waiting thing. You go in there, you hit electronics digital sign, and
it's almost like taking a number at a grocery store at the deli where you pull a number. And it's.
I got there at noon, which definitely was too late, and waited 2 hours to be seen. I covered every inch of that store, which if you're from the area and you're anywhere near Lancaster Archery, go there. Yeah. It's definitely not what it used to be. It's been years since I've been in there, and when I went in there, I was blown away by how much stuff I have. It was like it's like Mecca,
Yeah.
for archers, Extreme Archery up the road here in York is a great place, but Lancaster Archery is in the next level because they are a national brand. They have so many experts in there. They were able to take my bow. I just basically said, hey, remember I said I had some problem with the string here. I want to make sure that my sight's in here right. I want to make sure the bow's tuned. The whole 9 yards. Help me out. Let's see what we have. And they have an area they take you to once they mess around with the bow, and they can take you over to just like 20 yards away from where they're checking on you, and you go over and shoot. Yeah, it's right there. So it's awesome. But anyway, so he upped my draw weight. It's exactly 65 pounds right now. And I'm going to work on that and see if I feel like I want to move it up down the line. Of course, I have to re-zero when I do that. But worked me forever on paper tuning, only to find out that I screwed up. Right. I got over aggressive working with the guys from Serious Archery.
Oh, the arrow, the shaft.
And I went with a stiffer spine. I'm not a big guy. I only have a 26.5-inch draw length. So I'm only 65 pounds, but I want to do 70. Now at 70 pounds with those 300 with a 300 spine is fine.
Not at 65.
But not at 65. And the only thing that made me paper tune good was going from 125 grain broadhead to a 150 grain broadhead. Yeah. Which I'm not complaining about. And the most miraculous thing of the whole deal, as I told you already, is this guy working with me, Lancaster Archery, is phenomenal. Took my sight. My sight was already mounted because they have the dovetail thing. You just slide your sight in, tighten a nut, and you're done. And he looked at it, lined it up, eyeballed it, turned it a couple times, looked at it again, said, okay, shoot that 20 yards. I shoot. I'm about 4 inches left. 3 arrows. Right? He goes, okay. Makes another adjustment. Hands it back to me. I go up. I shoot. I'm dead in the bullseye. I have never seen
that's incredible.
Anybody do that ever. That guy's impressive.
That's
I thought I was pretty good at doing sights and stuff for my time in the Army. Yeah. That guy, look, just eyeballing that and getting me into the bullseye. That's incredible.
So this kind of plays on what I had said the night you bought it, and you probably could have got a better deal somewhere else and paid less. Maybe not for the drop away rest. It
all adds.
But what I said that night was, I think you're making the right choice by buying it from Lancaster Archery because that's our local, main bow dealer shop, and they're down the road about a half hour away.
It's a half hour, yeah.
And I said, you know, something goes wrong, you could take it to them. So that kind of worked out in that aspect, because night I came over the last podcast, actually, and I went to pull that back, and right away I felt that vibration in the top cam. And I went, hey, have you felt that? And you're like, no, what? And I went, grab this and feel this right here. You're going to feel a vibration in the cam. And that's before you even get out of the peak there to get back to the, you know, your wall. There was something going on there. So I'm glad that you got to go down there.
They worked it out on there, and then showed me a great tip that you know, I'm really meticulous about my grip and working my grip, because trying not to apply any torque to the bow whatsoever. So I use an open grip. But they showed me that, and it's the simplest, dumbest thing ever to do, is that when you draw your bow, right, look up at the top cam. If your string is not centered, adjust your grip. And once your grip is aligned, that string will be aligned, and then you know you have the perfect grip. So it's a great way to manage your grip and see it. And it only took, you know, I just adjusted my hand a little bit. I was perfect on straightening that out, and I've been perfect ever since. I really have a good feel. The grip on this bow is a little different.
That's what
than my other bow.
Yeah.
So getting used to that and seeing how my hand aligns to that.
Me, I'm on my third different bow. Started with Matthews Adrenaline, and then I was at Bowtech BTX, and now this Elite that I'm shooting. Each one of them were completely different. I mean, the Bowtech like cradled your hand, where the Matthews, you almost had to like hold it and grip it. Now the Elite, I'm full blown like this, and it's just like teetering in there. It's like this pendulum. You know, it's totally different. Each bow is totally different. You have to now. We've said this 1,000 times about muscle memory. You have to now build that muscle memory up and
that bow,
let that become one with that bow. You know, it's a cool process.
So one of the things that carried over from shooting your Elite this past season was that you have just a simple wrist strap.
Oh yeah, it's a neoprene.
It's a $10.
I don't like the paracord ones because they get scratchy on you, and the colder the weather, your skin's like I don't want to call it brittle, but more irritable in cold weather.
What I liked
and
about
it just rubs me raw.
What I liked about it is it almost anchored my hand in there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I put the same exact one I bought. Dan sent it to me on Amazon. It's $10.
Yeah.
Right. I put it on the bow, and just standing here in my basement and drawing, my grip is so solid
locked in
there. It's locked in.
Yeah.
It. Don't ever undersell your wrist strap, because that thing there is
wristling,
fantastic. Yeah, wristling, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So
I found that when I left Matthews and went to Bowtech, because I had a black bow with the Bowtech, I wanted a black, you know, but I didn't want the paracord. Like I said, it rubbed me raw, and I couldn't stand it. So I was like, I wonder if they make something smoother or something. And I found the neoprene ones. There was no going back. Now there is going to be some scent, sweat neoprene.
Yeah.
They do, but you know what I mean.
I'll take care of that. I'll spray it down.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a great thing. And the other thing was that they, you know, I went through that whole store, right? Like I was saying, they didn't have anything like that.
Really?
They did not have a wrist strap or a wrist sling like that at all.
It was all paracord.
It was paracord out there.
I guess they think everybody wants paracord. Like I personally, look, I get the paracord thing. Something happens, you can take it apart and have extra rope on you. But that's what you have rope on you for. But you know what I mean? I personally, I'm going for comfort. I like high speed, low drag. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Well, along with that, while I was there, I worked with them on some arrows, right? So to minimize my out-of-pocket expenses, I had them cut the arrows to the length I wanted. I got the Victory VAT TKO Elite arrows. They're .001 straightness and 4mm arrow, .166 arrow.
Yeah.
And made sure that it was squared on the cut. So they're squared. The great thing about these, and you can't see this if you're listening to the podcast, these arrows come spine aligned. So there's a lot of arrows that if they're not spine aligned at the factory, get them. The person taking care of or building your arrows, which could be you, has to spine line them so that you know where to put that knock vein or knock feather on your arrow.
Your off color fletching. Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that I had, these are only, small Victory Blazer veins, but they're also 3% helical on here.
Oh, so they're not the boning.
No, they're not boning. Nope.
Okay.
They are. They're just branded Victory. But anyway, I have 95 grain inserts here that I'm gonna put in. I haven't gotten a chance to do that yet. Here, and glue those inserts in, and then I'm going to test out both 125 and 150 grain broadheads. With 125, it's 475, and with the 150 grain broadhead, it's 500 grains exactly. So, really, really, really impressive. So,
I mean, this guy has
Dan's pulling up. He has 3 of my arrows sitting here, and it doesn't even include the new one.
That doesn't even include the TKOs.
You got the ZMR,
the HMR,
and the Serious Archery.
Your Apollos,
yes. So we got a little bit of arrowage going on here.
Well, this is all good because it's a, like, learning,
It's the arrow mecca, and I want to learn more and more about this because I want to be an expert in what I'm throwing down range.
Yeah.
It's like somebody that wants to do reloads, right?
Yeah.
With the rifle.
Yeah.
You can only get that grainage perfect.
Yeah.
When you do it yourself, it's very rare that you get a whole box at Federal where it's the perfect grains in each and every bullet.
Not everything's match grade, right?
Not everything's match grade. So that's I want my arrows to be match grade. That's a great way to say that.
Yeah. So once you get your inserts put in, you're ready to rock and roll, and you can actually start shooting. Yeah. So I got my Gemini arrows in. They're awesome. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, Serious Archery product arrows. I got the Geminis, not the Apollos. But anyway, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to head out to the backyard. And in my backyard, I can shoot 20 yards max. Locked the dogs inside, so there wasn't any unwanted casualties. So I start flinging them. And out of 12 arrows, one was about that far off from bullseye. All the other ones were dead center bullseye. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was, and I said this before the podcast.
Well, obviously, you didn't have to re-zero your elite.
No, and it was crazy. It was like I was telegraphing them. I've not shot that. I don't even think, and this is nothing against the method archery. Mm-hmm. I haven't shot my ZMRs like that consistently good, and it'd been 2 months since I shot an arrow. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty darn impressed so far. So this was that was one 12-arrow shoot with the bow, and boy, did it ever feel good to shoot again. Yeah, it's like you don't realize how much you miss it until you start shooting after a couple months of not, 2 months of not shooting.
Well, what I felt when I was there at Lancaster Archery shooting those 20-yard shots was how I have to get used to that new bow, because I was just not. Yeah. I was like, that was not great. And he's like, oh, you're right there.
I was texting him. He was on his way back, and I'm texting him. Is it smooth? Is it aggressive? Is it he's like, it's smooth.
The bow
is aggressive.
The bow is smooth initially. I think at the very end where you hit that wall, because there is no valley in this bow. So if you're expecting that little bit of a valley after your cams come over, there is none. You're locked in instantly, mm-hmm. and then that arrow wants to fly off of there. You can feel how fast this.
That's that speed bow. It's a very short back wall.
It's a 348 IBO.
On cooking.
So it's pretty good, which helps me out with my short draw length.
Yeah. But, it's almost like a turbo.
It's a turbo.
It's a turbo.
It's a turbo. I like a turbo bow, and I actually had that when I had the Hoyt Vector Turbo. It was a 350
turbo,
or was it? It might have been 340. I can't remember now. Doesn't matter.
I think it was 340. It
might have been 340. Yeah. But anyway,
that's still cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, you're flying a hell of a lot faster than I am with my Elite. But again, I only have the 60-pound limbs on them, 60-pound draw max. The old shoulder. Someday I'll graduate. I'll grow up.
No, that was another thing with the draw on it. It's a little bit different than the other bow. And
it's rough at first.
Once I felt it out, I was like, oh, if I just tilt this just a hair up, it just all of a sudden was that 65 was nothing. So when I did when I bought it, he set it at 62.
Yeah.
So when I first pulled it at 62, and I was like, oh, man, this is heavy for 62. I said, maybe I'm, something's wrong here. Actually, like hurt my shoulder a little bit torn. I was like, oh no. Well, it was, once again, it was me.
Yeah.
And I just adjusted it a little bit where I tilted the bow up just a hair when I draw, and boom, 65 is easy. So I was like saying to myself, maybe 70 wouldn't even be bad. So I'll test it out and see.
Yeah, right.
Right. But anywho, I don't necessarily need that. I have plenty of kinetic energy. I have plenty of momentum with these arrows.
And
500 grain arrow with a 150 on the end of it, that's going to be doing some damage.
Well, 500 total.
Yes.
With that 150.
Yeah, with that heat at the front of it, yeah. That FOC cooking in. That'll be sweet.
And that's what was funny is I kind of did this with it. For those who can't see, I'm balancing this arrow. You can see
that point of balance. It's major.
it's over 20% FOC on that. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I think I'll be cooking. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to hitting getting some meat with that.
Yeah. So a while back, I said to Mike, I kind of like to dabble in writing a little bit. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote a few things and he posted them on his, on the Everyday Bowhunter website. So one of them was the story about the beaver. So if you know anything about our dad, the craziest of crazy happens to this fella. So, all right, moving away from the arrows and I'm going to move into a little story here about the beaver. So, the old man goes out.
It's not what you think. Don't think of it that way.
No, an actual beaver.
An actual beaver.
Get your mind out of the gutter. So, the old man goes out hunting. He's hunting by a waterway. And he's up there hunting, and you got to go to the bathroom. Back then, we used to piss into bottles, where now we just piss. Peas pee. But anyway, so he pisses into a bottle and he puts it into his backpack. He's hunting and he keeps hearing this on the water, and he can't quite see, but he can see like the water rippling and smack again. What in the hell is this noise? So now it's afternoon. He says, you know what? I'm going to call it quits. Go back, get some lunch, and then come back out this evening. So he gets down. He says, I'm kind of curious. We'll walk down to the water's edge here. So he walks down there and here's this beaver dam. So curiosity takes him a little bit farther. He wants to see how sturdy this beaver dam is. And he walks out on it and he's kind of doing the old pump test on it. And he realizes, I still have that bottle of piss in my backpack. So he gets it out of his backpack. He unscrews the cap open and pours it down into the beaver dam. Well, ripples start happening. Next thing you know, beaver kind of emerges and they're face to face. He looks and he's just like, well, he kind of looks mad. So the old man takes up heading off, onto the bank, the shoreline there. And he turns around and right there is this beaver. It's coming after him. This thing chased him up into the woods. Needless to say, he was pissed. So the moral of the story is, don't piss off a beaver. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah,
he has probably more of those stories than you can shake a stick at.
It's unreal.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is a classic right there.
I mean, it's just simple things like you'll be sitting out in the woods and all of a sudden we have two-way radios and I'll hear my call, my hand will come across. Hey, you got a copy? Yeah, what's going on? You ain't gonna believe this.
That's how it always starts.
It's how it starts, and you just go, yeah, I bet I will. That's about right. Hey, yeah, I got up in my tree, and I just realized all my arrows have field points on them. I never changed them out. So down he goes. And it's like, hey, have a good evening, buddy. It's like
I'm trying to think of what he did. We were out in Promised Land, and he was going one side of the road and I was going the other. And it was, when we get done, he said, "You're not going to believe this." I got to the tree and realized I left my arrows, or I can't remember if it was an arrow. It definitely wasn't his bow, but maybe it was his bow. He might have left his bow at the car and had to go back for it. I can't remember now.
Oh, it was his quiver.
His quiver, yeah.
Well, on his crossbow, his quiver falls off, and he has to he has to bungee cord it into the crossbow. Oh, the dude's his neck is as red as Georgia clay. So, I mean, for being a Pennsylvania boy, he should have. I swear to God, he should have been born and raised in Texas.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a class act. That guy, I love him.
Yeah, but the one thing we did. This is, my goodness, this is quite a few years ago now. But we went out to the farm, our Pap's farm, and we were going out and doing some archery hunting. It was one of the few times I hunted there, and it was on my birthday. And I told my wife that we were just going to go out and hunt. And once we were done hunting, we were, going to go out to dinner after that. And because of the time frame, my birthday is November 8th. It was, already daylight savings time was already kicked in. So it got dark a little earlier. So it's not like you're going until 7 in the evening.
Right. This is like a 5:30.
Yeah.
You're out.
So here it is getting dark. And all of a sudden, he calls me. Dad calls me and says, "Hey, I think we're getting down. It's starting to get dark. Let's call it quits." I said, "Okay." So I start packing my stuff in and getting down, and I'm in like a ladder stand or something. And next thing I know, he comes over the radio and says, "Hey, I got one hit." I was like, "What?" What?
Ugh.
So he's hunting out over this field right out in front of him, and I guess right when he was starting to pack up, a couple doe came up, and he shot this doe basically at the last possible sliver of legal light.
Yeah.
And then I go over there, and he's out, and now it's gotten dark, and he's out there in the field with a flashlight, looking for his arrow, and looking for blood.
Yeah.
Well, we end up. We probably pushed this doe. We probably should have
backed out.
And waited.
When in doubt, back out.
But because of the whole birthday dinner thing and everything,
right?
We're like, hey, let's get on this quick, get this doe, and get out of here, right? So we're at the farm, so it's not like we had far to go with it,
right?
And so we start tracking, and it's it is sometimes when you're tracking, and it's just there's 3 little drops of blood here. There's 2 little drops there, and it's just slow going. 50 yards is a half hour.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy crap! But I had such a blast tracking that deer, and of course we didn't find it that day. And we got it the next day. It did recover it. Got it the next morning. But here, it's now heading on 8 o'clock. And I was supposed to go out to dinner, and my wife's probably going to watch this and say, "Yeah, I remember that, you son of a bitch."
You know what? It's always when you have something to do.
Yeah, I had such a great time, and I didn't care about the dinner at that point. But I knew it was a big deal to my wife, so of course I apologized. But I had such a good time out there doing that. And at the time, I was like, "Hey, don't tell my wife I enjoyed this."
Yeah. So this might not be a specific story.
That deer went a long ways too.
This might not be a specific story, but tracking deer in general, shooting a deer is one thing. That's exciting. The tracking part is the part that
I love tracking.
It is. It's the single greatest moment in hunting when there's success at the end. You know what I mean? Because the whole tracking part of it, and like our buddy Jevin shot that one doe, and that thing folded up underneath a brush pile and a fallen tree, and my father-in-law found it.
And yeah, that thing really dug
dude, we couldn't believe he actually found it. But I mean, my father-in-law has spent a lot of years hunting, has killed a lot of deer, and he even said, he goes, it's going to be where you least where you think it's going to be. It's probably in a brush pile somewhere under a fallen tree, something like that. And sure enough, it was, and he found it.
I tell you what, it's amazing what they'll do when they get hit like that to go to survival mode. It's amazing.
Whitetail deer are amazing animals. They really are.
I've been very fortunate to only lose one. Let me knock on wood somewhere. But another thrilling thing is when they do pile up right out in front of you. You can see it, and that's really enjoyable. And I had a hunt where I did something that you probably shouldn't do. Actually, you shouldn't do. Period. So this is when my shoulder was jacked up, right? And my pap had passed away, and he had a crossbow. Well,
Kentucky Vintage?
Yes. So before I could get my own crossbow to still hunt because of my shoulder being jacked up, I went and grabbed his. Well, I could not get that dang scope to lower down, so I was shooting about 9 inches. 9 inches high or low. I can't remember.
Well, it was 9 inches low.
9 inches low, yes.
So you had to...
So I had to aim over the deer.
Yes.
So normally when you're 9 inches off on something, you don't use it. I did.
Special forces.
Yeah. So anyway, I had a doe come up at 25 yards, and I lifted that up just over her back and shot.
You smoked her too.
She went like 15 yards, wobbled and dropped. And that there, I was like, that made me feel great. One, because it was my pap's crossbow after he passed away, that I was able to do that. Yeah. But then, of course, my old man, being the guy that he is, went and took that and said, "Oh, there's a knob on here that would adjust that scope, take it down." And me not being, well versed in crossbows or how that one was built, was that a Barnett? We're both like dead silence in the podcast.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember. I don't think it was a Barnett. Maybe it was. It wasn't an Excalibur. It was. Anyway,
doesn't matter. But anyway, this is an older crossbow.
Yeah.
And he's since fixed it and has
now it's dead on.
Now it's dead on. Yeah. But that was one of those times where I was able to just hit something and destroy it, and normally, like you're saying, as far as ethical hunting, that's not such a good idea.
Yeah.
But I was confident after shooting it a bunch. It was dead centered. It just had an elevation problem.
You had said about having them, fold up in front of you, pretty much not far from you. That's one of the better feelings. Well, I guess both can be true. I don't know how else to word this. So one year, our oldest pointer was doing field trial stuff where he was going for his junior hunt test, and it was a double that day. So he had to go do, it was 2 runs or whatever. And I looked at my wife and I was like, "Hey, I want to go to the farm hunting." She's like, "Porter has this double today, Dan. You can't go hunting." I'm like, "Look, I have a feeling I'm going to get a deer, and I haven't gotten one this year. It's late. I want to get a deer. Like, I know I'm going to get a deer. I want to go up to the farm. Please let me go." And she just looked at me. She's like, "You're serious? You're probably going to get a deer." And I was like, "Okay." I said, I'll see you up at the club where you're going to be running for." She says, "Okay." I could tell she was kind of agitated.
Of course.
Because it was an us thing to do, and I was being selfish. So, sun comes up, and as it comes up, I see like a silhouette, and there's this big ass doe right up in front of me, and she was uphill from me, and I pull up and I shoot. That thing ran right to the base of my tree, and I had to sit there and listen to her drown. It was a double lung, and look, killing sometimes isn't for the faint of heart. everybody thinks they can kill until they actually do it and have to see it that way. Death is not beautiful in that aspect. You know what I'm saying?
That's bad.
But
yeah.
The best part about it, I was like, for me to the camera away from the edge of the woods. So I shoot her, she runs down, she dies right in front of me. I get one of them numbers. I drag her about 15 yards out into the field. I call my cousin up. Hey, Boots, can you bring the side-by-side up here? Gutted her, drug her down, took her to my mom and dad's, hung her in the garage, skinned her out, quartered her up, threw her in the fridge, drove all the way up about 40 minutes up to where the dog was running. I got there right before they went off. My wife looked at me. I was like, I told you I'd get a deer. She's like, oh, you're serious? You got a deer? I'm like, yeah, it's already quartered up. It's in the fridge. Let's do this. And we ran him, and he got his title that day, which even made it more bittersweet. You know, it was pretty cool. So,
yeah, it reminds me of, I got that one deer out there in Clump, place that we call Clump. And it's very close to the road I'm talking.
Oh, this.
It's a logging road, so it's gravel road.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm probably, I don't know, 40 yards from the gravel road where I'm hunting there.
Yeah.
And so I had two doe come into me, and they're behind me, of course. And I'm trying to see them, and one kind of sees me. He's at the base of my tree, kind of sees me and jumps back. And I turn, and I put the bow up, and all I can see is the shoulder between two trees. So all I have is
the window.
The window. I don't see the head. I don't see.
No, but you're the crease.
All I see is that.
Yeah.
So I shoot. Boom. That takes off. Right. So both of them, I think, was trying to keep up with the other one. You know, they do that sometimes. Yeah. So anyway, they run through this laurel, and I'm like, I wait a little bit.
It was running around dead and didn't even know it yet.
I get down out of the tree, and I go over, see blood and stuff, and I track the blood for maybe, I don't know, 20 yards maybe, and I lost it. And I was like,
you backed out, and you were coming back to get us.
So I said, yeah, I got to go get these guys to come help me in this laurel. It's going to be a tree.
Oh yeah.
So the laurel's pretty thick there and stuff, and I'm like, oh, just tracking this deer is going to be an adventure. So anyway, I pack my stuff up, and I go to my car, which is probably 100 yards away.
Yeah.
And I get to the car, start it up. I back out of the parking spot, which is a tent site.
Yeah.
I back up. I start driving. I might have gone, I don't know, 15 feet, and I slam on the brakes because, boom, there's the deer laying next to the road.
Right on the edge of the road.
Right on the edge of the road. And I'm like, so I pulled it up on the edge there. I gutted it right there, and that was it.
Threw it on the cart?
Threw it on the back of my vehicle, and boom, that was it. That was an easy one right there. And I was all stressed out, too. I'm sitting there in the car going, oh, man, I don't find this deer. And, boom, right there it was.
Yeah. So you have this story, this story, this story. This is just two of us with a cabin full of guys, and all their stories. So,
we have a lot of
you guys go out and create stories. That's like the biggest thing is you got to find that community of people to hunt with, man. It's like hunting by yourself is great and all, but hunting with a group of guys and like having people to sit there and share at dinner time, that understand the like-mindedness and what this squirrel did or what that and the signs that you saw that you guys can all kind of communicate and help each other as hunters. That community is awesome. So
yeah, it is. I have it's all those stupid stories, the ones like, hey, I was going to my spot and I was just about there and I had a grouse fly, scared the ever-loving hell out of me, and I fell down.
You'd be walking and a bat smacks you in the face because it's dive bombing your headlight first thing in the morning.
That reminds me of when we were hunting in Delaware, and those, what were those, oh my God, what were those birds that were attacking us? The hawks?
The hawks, yeah.
Yeah, the hawks.
The Cooper's hawks.
Cooper's hawks were attacking Dan and them.
They were dive bombing.
Up in our trees.
Up in a tree stands.
Cooper's hawks dive bombing at me.
Wasn't that crazy down there with the deer graveyards?
Yeah.
Dude, I walked back in there. I was hunting from, 50 yards from just deer skeleton after deer skeleton after deer carcass. Yeah. You know what I mean? 50 yards from it, and I seen they're in too thick of stuff I couldn't shoot. But a line of doe going out there, like they're walking, it makes me realize how different we are as humans versus, you know what I mean?
And the whole reason that was there, that deer graveyard was there, is because there was a leased land thing there.
And that's where they wanted you to dump your carcass.
Yeah, so they had
the farmer wanted you.
A farm that was overpopulated with deer that they were shooting them and stuff. And we were hunting there, but actually weren't hunting there. We were hunting.
We found it to be better hunting out actually
on the public land.
On the public land next to it, and where we had just paid for this lease, but the group of guys that were on the lease, look, there's a lot of good guys that were on the lease,
yes,
but there was one segregated group that was just complete a-holes, and were out to get you, so to speak. Just to being jerks to be jerks.
And honestly, Dan and I aren't really leased land guys.
No,
I have a hard time even hunting near the fields that are next to our camp in the mountains. I want to go out where it's tough.
I'll never deny myself an easy kill, because there's really no such thing. You still have to go through the process. You still have to.
There is.
You still have to go through the process. You still have to shoot right. You have to make an ethical shot. You got to do it the right way. Mm-hmm. I'm never going to turn down meat. I'm a meat hunter. Like our dad says all the time, you can't eat the antlers or you damn near break my teeth trying to chew them. Yeah, Dad, I get it. But, at the same time, it's always nice to have something to hang on the wall, too.
I like the challenge, That's what drives me in hunting. I like the challenge. If it was too easy, then I think that, I wouldn't be as satisfied. But I'd rather go a season without getting something if I challenge myself.
If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
That's exactly right. And there are areas in Pennsylvania now that, just here in Governor Dick Park, it's an actual park, and in Lebanon County, they're looking at opening up for archery for quite a few years because they are saturated with deer there.
Well, get the archers in there and let it happen. That's what I say.
Yeah. And they did that now in Union County this year, too. Near Pittsburgh, they were doing that. And I think, up in is it Missouri County where he went? There's somewhere in the Poconos that our dad was at doing some work. Yeah. Was it Lackawanna County? Oh, no, I think he said he was in Wayne County or something. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Well,
in the Poconos.
We just named every county in Pennsylvania.
Yes, there you go. If you're not familiar, you know just as much as I do. Nothing. So anyway, he said that just up there where he was at, it was just loaded with deer.
Yeah.
Loaded. So
well, that's like east of us, Chester County. That's like almost borderline unlimited tags out there. It's just deer.
Well, the thing is, it's becoming like this. They're going to have to do something in these areas because there's so much private land now, and the deer don't have anywhere to go. They're stuck in all these properties, and they're just going to keep, the population is going to keep growing and growing and growing, and the people that don't want you to hunt are eventually going to have to say,
please hunt.
Please hunt.
Yeah.
And because people don't understand that it's a population control measure for deer management. It's deer management. And that's why they have hunting, and that's why they allow hunting for deer management.
And the hunting numbers with the youth is down. Mm-hmm. So it's like we need to get the younger guys, we need to get them out in the woods, and it is what it is. And
I actually just heard a thing that West Virginia is trying to improve their deer management, improve their deer herd.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this until recently. They allowed 3 buck in a year. But here in 2024 season, it's changing to 2. The people there wanted it to change to 1 because they really wanted to improve have the antler restriction and stuff like that. Yeah. But they end up splitting the difference and just saying, okay, we're going to go from 3 to 2, which is a huge difference.
Yeah.
If people are getting 3 buck, which is a challenge to get 1 buck.
When you get 3, when it's 3, that's where a lot of your 1.5, 2-year-old buck are getting killed. They're never really getting mature. Yeah, and that's what's the point of the antler restriction if you're killing them before they even mature in the first place?
Yeah, so you can't grow. You can't get quality deer there if you're constantly killing off the 2-year-olds.
Oh, I did want to say, spring gobbler's right around the corner.
Yeah.
I wish you could do like a survey. I want to know how many of you guys out there are going to do spring gobbler with your bow. Because I think this, I say it every year and I never do it because I opt for the easy way out and just grab the shotgun. I want a turkey with a bow so bad. I really do.
So last year I hunted with a bow, and because of how thick it was where I was at,
That's the hard
I had two turkey come past me, and could always see their heads and stuff. And if I'd had a shotgun, I'd have had a bird.
But
Because of how thick it was, I couldn't shoot with a bow. So, you got to pick your location better too. And going in there kind of in the darkish when we went in there a little bit made it harder to pick a more open spot to where I could have good shooting lanes. I didn't have good shooting lanes, so that hurt me. So if you're gonna shoot with if you're gonna shoot with a bow, if you're gonna hunt turkey with a bow, make sure you have shooting lanes.
yeah.
And understand they're not always going to come in the direction you want them to come either.
And turkey with a bow, especially not in a blind, is virtually impossible with their eyes. Unless you have a tree.
They're like a deer, because like a deer has depending on the deer, between a 270 and 290 degree arc with their eyes. Right?
Yeah, but they have like
and
eyes like an eagle.
They do. And the thing that really sets them apart is, and I didn't know this until recently either, is turkey see individually. Each eyeball is monocular, right? They don't see with binocular vision. They see with monocular vision,
Which is crazy.
And they can look with each individual eye.
Their brain's only that big. How do they process all that?
Well, their number one thing, much like deer, is movement and color, right? Because they see color just as much as we do. In fact, more than we do.
Yeah, they see different. Yeah.
So movement is just as big with turkey as it is with deer. When you're sitting there trying to call on stuff, that's why I switch into a mouth call when they're getting close and all that stuff. But yeah, I could when I saw that recently, I couldn't believe it, because I was researching a blog post that I'm going to do about turkey hunting camo.
Yeah.
And that's ironic that you said that, but that popped up that they have that that ability that they can really see, but they don't have great depth perception. And that's weird how that works too.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bird. Like an eagle can spot a fish in water from 100 feet above.
Yeah.
But they don't have great depth perception. Anyway.
Well, each bird's different.
Different. Right.
Yeah. But that's, So anyway, that there, coming up in turkey season hunting with a bow, you better do it now. Now you talk smack, you better be carrying your bow in the woods.
Well, I'm going to have to do it out of a blind.
Can do it out of a blind.
I'm going to grab
I'll take my blind up and do it.
I'm going to grab the rhino.
Yeah.
And go out. Yeah. It's almost like, what's the point of having goals and wishing, you know what I mean? If you don't actually act on it, it's just silly. It's like you play this game with yourself. It's like, man, I really want one. Well, what are you doing to achieve that? Yeah. If you're just going, and being lazy and saying, I'll just grab the shotgun, you know what I mean? So
it's still not easy with a shotgun.
No,
as you proved in the fall here.
Thanks.
But what a great place to put a blind is, instead of be out there at that cast line.
I have an idea. I know where I'm going.
Oh, okay.
I have a plan. Now, with the blind, is going to be a lot harder because
movement.
It's pretty vertical for the most of it. Look at you, like, I could see you going, where are you going?
Look here, there's actually, I saw more turkey this past year than had previously. I had like a couple years there where it was like, didn't really see them a lot.
Dude, I heard and saw more turkey this year than I have in a lot of years prior. Because remember, the years prior, we were all in our own heads, are the fishers, eating the eggs, depleting our flocks, but
it's all about where they are at that time.
That's what it is.
We
were on the wrong side of the mountain.
I was definitely, thinking that was a problem, because I had gone almost every archery season since I had retired from the Army, and every single year had turkey come by at least once or twice during the season where I'm archery hunting. And say, there's 12 hens coming by or whatever, and I hadn't had that happen
right
for like 2 years. And then this year had it happen again. But yeah, so that really,
this year was a very promising year with turkey. That's why I'm pretty amped up about spring gobbler because of that.
Yeah, I think so. You know what I'm hoping for though on the other side of the coin is, one, I've already been out scouting a little bit and the ticks were bad already, which ticks me off. But yeah,
I see what you did there.
Yeah, but
thought that cold snap was going to help.
yeah,
with it,
we had
obviously.
a serious cold snap for a good 6-7 days there, but all below freezing, hard down in the teens and stuff. I thought for sure.
And today it was 60 degrees.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I'm talking about the mass crop. I'm hoping, as far as acorns are concerned, I'd rather have small concentrated areas that you can set up on and hunt versus it.
I think
being everywhere.
Last year was such an acorn drop, almost like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
This year won't be like that because it normally is like a cycle. You know what I mean?
If you hadn't heard earlier podcast, Dan and I talked about, we went into one area where it was literally you were just walking on acorns. It's almost like a carpet of acorns.
It was like a triaxle load for those who work construction and know what a triaxle dump truck is. It was like a triaxle load of acorns and a skid loader went in and just spread them out. Never seen anything like it.
No, never seen it.
It was that tree. I don't even understand how it was erect. It had that many acorns on it, how it didn't just fall over. Like it was crazy.
I'll tell you what's amazing is I really regret not hunting up bear earlier, because when I went there later in the season and went into that area, the acorns were almost gone.
They were
destroying them.
We missed the window though.
Yeah, I missed the window, so that was a mistake on my part for sure. But anyway, Dan, I think we covered a lot of stuff. Talked some good stories here in the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks everyone. Hit that like button, subscribe, and send in some listener questions. That way we can actually answer one next one, and we'll go from there.
Yep. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.